Not far from Dublin, Ireland, there sits a Neolithic monument. You may not have heard of Newgrange, but it is one of the most spectacular structures ever built by ancient humans. Newgrange is a man-made passage tomb, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a mound in the earth that contains a passage leading to a chamber that contained human remains. According to the Irish Department of Environment, Heritage and Local Government, Newgrange was built around the year 3200 BCE and is about 262.5 feet in diameter on the outside. The passage on the inside is about 19 meters long and leads to a cross-shaped chamber. Each of the niches contains a stone basin that was found to contain cremated human remains. On the front face of the structure, there is a wall constructed out of quartz. However, according to the documentary The Bend of the Boyne, the quartz wall was reconstructed in the 1960s, but some archaeologists believe the quartz actually sat on the ground in front of the monument. Many of the stones are carved. The carvings feature spirals, zigzag patterns, and diamond shapes. Above the entrance, there's a box-shaped opening which is rather special. During the sunrise of the winter solstice, the sunlight streams through this opening and illuminates the chamber. Newgrange is certainly an impressive structure. It's difficult to know for sure what it was for. There are, however, several theories. First, let's consider the physical space. We know that it was used as a grave, but according to Robert Hensey, some archaeologists believe it was a temple as well. He notes that Newgrange, like other Irish passage tombs, was built in a location that is hard to access, which he believes was done to other tombs from the rest of the community, possibly heightening their connection to the underworld. It's also possible that the passage tombs were intended to simulate caves, which were used as graves in the past times, according to Patrick McCafferty. One thing that's particularly interesting is that, according to Popson, only 10 people can fit into Newgrange's chamber at one time. This gives us some idea of what the society that built and used it was like. It's possible that only certain people were allowed to partake in the rituals, or certain aspects of the rituals, or, as Richard Bradley believes, see the solar alignment of the winter solstice. Some of the carvings are only visible from inside of the structure as well. In fact, some of the stones were placed in such a way that their carvings were covered up. Because of this, Robert Hensey thinks that there was some sort of authority figure deciding what messages to send via the carvings and to which people. Speaking of carvings, some archaeologists such as Geraldine Mohan, Brendan Purcell, and Dorothy Cross believe that Newgrange's carvings represent some sort of mother or earth goddess. Others such as Popson note that Newgrange's underground space represents the womb of the earth and rebirth after death. It shows their respect for death is their core principle. It was built way earlier than any other historical tomb. According to carbon-14 dating, it is about 500 years older than the current form of Stonehenge and the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt, as well as predating the Mycenaean culture of the ancient Greeks. Notably, ancient people thought that their current lives weren't their real lives. Instead, their afterlife was something that mattered much more. That's why we can see all those delicate carvings and design structures in their tombs. It is for the sake of showing worship to their gods and the process of rebirth. Ever since the beginning, humans have always strived for answers. We live in a vast and confusing world where not everything can be answered with a simple yes or no. Questions such as, where did we come from, or are we alone? Some people may have ideas but find it extremely difficult to explain. Thankfully, this is where artistic expression can help. In the case of Newgrange, it helped this ancient society get closer to understanding death. In Irish folklore, it was believed that the underground was connected to another world, and that the underground also acted as a womb of the earth. This makes sense seeing how lots of life sprouts from underground. Perhaps the ancient Irish people thought that the earth could bring life to the dead as well as to the plants. Newgrange also provided a way to organize Neolithic Irish society. Allowing a person or group inside of the tomb may have signaled to the rest of the society that these people were important. Perhaps they were believed to have mystical powers. Perhaps they were simply a part of the ruling class, or even some combination of the two. Either way, Newgrange is still an example of how art and architecture can be used by rulers and religious leaders to send messages, even in the ancient world. By creating this tomb, Newgrange is able to physically embody the idea of life after death. It does this by referencing the winter solstice, an event which Irish farmers saw as a time of rebirth, where the land is fertile and the dead are reborn into the afterlife. In other words, ancient societies have used art to embody answers to complex ideas.